Michael, a few days to reflect on that defeat to Plymouth. How are you feeling about the game a few days on?
Moved on from that game pretty quickly, to be honest. We're closer to the next game, so we're disappointed with the result, but we've reflected on that. We've trained well, and the boys are looking forward to Saturday more than anything.
In terms of that defeat, you said afterwards to us that it was on you, and some of the fans were quite surprised to hear that. Why did you feel as if you had to almost take ownership of that performance result?
I take ownership of both. Like people say well done to me when we win, and then if we don't win, then it doesn't change. So it's always on me regardless. So that doesn't make any difference. We're all in it together. We want to play well. We want to win games. Sometimes it doesn't go to plan. You've got to accept it then, and do something about it. And I'm obviously at the front of that, so that's my job.
11 points off the top 6 now. Is it realistically getting a bit too tough to make the playoffs, do you think?
Obviously it's tougher than it was before the game on Saturday. That's pretty obvious. It doesn't really change how we do things. It doesn't really change how we approach the next game, and anything can happen. So we've got to still certainly keep believing and keep trying to do the right thing. So that's the only way. I said it to you all the time. That's the only thing you can do. It's the next game. The bigger picture doesn't really count when you're going into one game. It's all about what happens on the next game, and regardless of what's happened or where we are. I don't remember or I don't recall any team going into the next game not trying to win it, and certainly we're doing that. And if we can do that over the rest of the season, then see what we can achieve. And
do you take kind of hope from the fact that you have been on those kinds of runs that have seen you propel up the table? Obviously, after a slightly shaky start, you did do that, didn't you?
Yeah, the boy, we're capable of it. The boys are capable of it. We we haven't done enough as a group to be higher up the table, and that's why the league is what it is. So it's up to us to do something about it. And listen, the belief's there, no problem. We know what we're capable of doing. We've got to put it together.
One real positive to come from last weekend, you touched upon it a little bit afterwards, Emmanuel Latte-Lath back in amongst it and back on the pitch in the second half. How good is it to have him back? Because he's had a real frustrating time of things, really, hasn't he, since he came in?
Yeah, a little bit. He's he was looking good and he was looking sharp and he was scoring goals just before he got injury the first time, and then that's a setback. But hopefully we can get Manu back firing, back sharp, and get him back playing football and training enough to get him back to that level.
In terms of the injury picture, has it improved at all ahead of Stoke? Is there anyone nearing a return?
Everyone's nearer. Whether they're near enough is a different story, but certainly everyone's nearer. But no, it's not a major change really.
In terms of a couple of injured players in particular, Johnny House and Hayden Hackney, you were waiting on kind of specialists and scans and all the rest of it. You're any closer to knowing how long they could be missing for?
Hayden's a bit further. He's probably another good few weeks yet. Johnny, we're hoping something towards the end of next week maybe, to be back around the group. So that's a positive, because we expected that to be a little bit longer, but still not getting too carried away with that. He's got to get back training and around the group, but Hayden will be a little bit longer.
And especially with Johnny, I assume it's good always to have someone with his experience there, in case you have a slight off day like last weekend.
You always want the good players around, and Johnny's a big part of that. He's the captain. He's we all know what Johnny brings, so it'll be great to have him back around and training with the group. And we got a good few games coming up over the next couple of weeks. So the more bodies and the more we can choose from, then obviously the better.
Today marks 20 years since the greatest kind of day in Middlesbrough's history, a League Cup win. And at that time, they were a team really fighting up towards the top end of the Premier League and doing well in cup competitions. I just wondered if you had any personal memories of playing against Boro at that time. Obviously, you were probably towards the back end of your time at West Ham and then moving on to Spurs. And it was a real cauldron of atmosphere at the Riverside.
It was always a tough place to go. Even when I was playing in the better teams in United and we were kind of successful, it was always a tough place to come. And I don't think we got many good results, so that's the probably biggest memory in a negative way for me at the time. But obviously, as a team and the club at that point in time was a really tough place in the Premier League for the best teams to come and play.
And in terms of the manager at that time, Steve McClaren, he's someone that you'll have worked with earlier in your career with England, and of course there's a Man United link there as well. What did you make of his time, particularly on Teesside and playing under him?
Yeah, I didn't play under him too much, to be honest. He was England manager, but I didn't end up playing that much. But yeah, I've known Steve, and he coached with England before that with Sven, so I've known him for quite some time. And yeah, listen, you know, the final and the achievement speaks for itself, you know, and other cup runs and successful in the league. I think it's proven it's not easy to do. So I think Steve takes a lot of credit for that.
Under Stoke this weekend, obviously a side under a reasonably new manager in Steven Schumacher. Have you seen much change in them in recent months to when you last came up against them?
I think they're playing well, actually. I think they've not had the results, but watching them with kind of independent view in many ways of no emotion watching the games, I think they've played pretty well in the games, and they'll probably feel a bit hard done by. So we're definitely under no illusions of you know what we're facing and what we're going into, the challenge. So as I said, I don't think the results have give them the real true picture of how well they're playing. So we know the level we got to be at and what Saturday's going to bring. And
they, of course, have been a really big club over the years, a long time in the Premier League. Are you surprised to see them battling at the wrong end of the Championship?
Nothing surprises you in football. It's a tough league. You know, some teams can go on runs and win games. Sometimes it's a bit more of a struggle and it's harder to get the results. The size of the club doesn't determine where you should be in the league, and it's about what happens on the pitch. We're fighting our battle and our challenge to be higher up the league and to achieve things just as much as anybody else. And
just finally, obviously stats are a funny thing, but you've won 2 of your last 3 Championship away games. That big win at Leicester, surely you and your squad can take real confidence from that going into this weekend.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the boys were all right. You know, we haven't had some results that we wanted, but the boys were all right. They were looking forward to the game. Always take some confidence and always approach the game to try and win. It's not going to be easy, of course not, but yeah, for sure we're looking forward to the game. Good luck. Thank you.
Shows the situation in the Championship. Almost everyone in the table would still consider that they are playing for something this season, and obviously the 2 teams involved on Saturday, it's no exception, is it?
There's always something to play for right till the very end. I think in terms of league's placings of where you are, but in terms of for yourself, for your pride, for your individual pride, for the team, we want to keep getting better, we want to keep improving. There's always something to play for, so we're in no danger of that.
I know you don't like excuses, but if consistency's been an issue and injuries have been an issue this season, how much do they sort of interact in terms of it's been, well, basically impossible for you to have consistent selection?
Yeah, that's one thing I would say would be, you know, the injuries in terms of selection. Then it means we can't pick, or we haven't been able to pick a consistent team. But that's probably more the issue. I don't think it's the players in terms of individual of coming in and out. I think it's just more the collective consistency more than anything. But that's it. You know, I'm not here to moan about that. I think that other teams have had injuries, and it's part of it. We've got to deal with it. I think we have had a rough ride, and it's rougher than most, but that's the way it is. So we'll strive for that consistency, because I've said it for a while. You know, that's the difference. We know what we can do. We know what we're capable of doing, and it's doing it more often. That's the difference.
Just one thing about the 20-year anniversary. From your experience at various football clubs, do you think it's a good part of the game that people who've been involved in great moments for the clubs are kind of treasured in this way?
I think it's fantastic. You know, I think that's it. The memories, big achievements, memories, people that have played a big part. It's not just the players. It's supporters, it's staff, it's backroom staff. You know, they've all played a part in that. There's always certain names that get kind of highlighted a little bit, and you know, in some ways rightly so, because they've had a big impact. But I think it's the memories more than anything. You know, that everyone's got the different memories of where they were at the time or whatever, and that's the special part of football, that you can invest so much emotion in it and get so much out of it.
Thank you. Sorry, boys. We mentioned that away form at the moment is decent. Obviously, you won 2 of your last 3, but is home form a bit of a concern for you and something that you'll need to improve?
Definitely need to improve. Yeah, for sure we need to improve. No way we're shying away from that. We need to improve, but concerned no, because I know what we can do. So it's about us, being at our best, near our best. Home form, away form don't matter towards the end. It's how many points you collect. So we'll keep trying to do that and collect as many as we can.
And does that Leicester win, against a team who are flying away top of the table, show the ability of this team that despite adversity you have faced this season, that there's still lots to play and you can achieve something?
Yeah, I've just said it. Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I think it's there's always something to play for. The boys have shown that they can find a way and they can dig deep, and sometimes the challenge gets a bit harder, whether it's because of injuries or whatever it may be, or the amount of games. But I think the boys they've shown that they can rise to that. It's just that putting it together over a period of time, and that's what we're certainly striving for.
Just one more on the injury, Michael. Deal, how's he doing?
He's doing all right. He's not fit yet.
Not really yet. Obviously, in Deal's absence, Paddy's come back into the team. He had a kind of prolonged spell out with the team as well. I mean, how good is it for you that you lose someone like Deal? You've not had Dara for most of the season. Someone like Paddy can just step straight back into the team.
Yeah, I think that's the situation we've been in, and trying to get as many players back as we can to give us the options more than anything. And it's easy to forget kind of the players that are missing and have been missing for some time. So it's that's something we deal with. And Paddy was out for a number of weeks as well and missed quite a bit. So we've managed to adapt. Whoever's been out, we've had to find a way. We haven't adapted enough probably in terms of results, but we've certainly have in terms of the teams we've been able to put out. And that's probably down to the quality of the squad still, even though it's not enough in terms of the results and where we want to be in the league just yet.
Yeah, and on Paddy, I mean, with his contract situation, you can see there's a bit of uncertainty there. I mean, when he comes back into the team like that, with regard to his contract situation, is there any need to have a conversation with him about that, or is Paddy the type who would just manage himself and get on with it?
I think you've got to manage yourself as an individual and as a player. I think there's too much to play for and too much at stake. I think all the boys' heads are on the job, and we know we need to find results and get back to winning. So that nothing's got to take our concentration away from that.
Yeah, obviously that is the main focus, is results from here and now. But as you said last week, there is some forward planning going on, and when do decisions like that, new contracts, etc., when do they start to kind of get firmed up? There's
not really any deadline or a specific time. I think it kind of over time it kind of naturally gets done, and but there's not a deadline on it for sure.
Yeah. Does it help to kind of know one way or the other where you're going to be next season?
Right now, it doesn't really make any difference, to be honest with you. I think the boys are focused on the next game, and there's all sorts of decisions about who's going to be here, who stays, who doesn't stay. That's a natural one in every single football club throughout the land. So it's not a big deal right now for us. It's about what games are coming up.
Yeah, and just on that, in terms of planning as well. I mean, your own contract has, I think, a year to run after this season. As we understand it, there's been some discussions there. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say it's major in terms of a big deal. It's not a big deal for me. I'm happy here. I've said that. I'm relaxed about it. So everyone's clambering for some extra news on something. There's nothing's changed. I'm here. I love it here, and I'm enjoying it. So as I said, same with other players. Things will happen in natural in the time. So there's no deadline. There's nothing chasing. There's no agendas. We're just here and we're working hard.
Yeah, but that is the case. You do love it here. You are happy. Those conversations. You're going to be happy to have them because you want to see it.
Yeah, I'm happy. There's no issue. Nothing's changed. I love it here.
And on here, what's his actual injury?
It was his knee. Twisted his knee. So as I said, it was the two tackles. Johnny twisted his knee. It was just a little bit different. He got away with it a little bit more. Hayden unfortunately hasn't, so he's a little bit longer.
Regardless of kind of how the table looks, regardless of how this season finishes, obviously next year you're going to want to be competing again at the top end of the table. Do the players who are currently here have to kind of show you that they're going to be part of it next year? They're playing to be part of it for next year?
I don't think it makes a difference now or the situation whether you're winning, you're losing, you're drawing. I think all players are playing to certainly to achieve things, and then certainly to there's a point to prove to earn the place in the team and the squad. You know, that's with everyone, every member of staff. So it's not now suddenly there's a big window or all eyes on scrutiny extra. I think that's just, it's the life, it's the business we're in, and it's performance based, and that's for players, that's for us, and for the coaches. It doesn't change whether, as I said, sometimes if you're right at the top of the table, you've got to prove that you're going to still be in a team that's flying. If you're near the bottom of the table, you've got to prove that you're good enough to be there next year. It doesn't, as I said, it doesn't change. There's not extra scrutiny on the players from me at all.
Obviously last summer the kind of squad was overhauled with the own players, and we talked a lot about that. Will it be different this summer? Is it going to be kind of minor tweaking rather than an overhaul? And does that give you more chance to kind of build momentum through the back end of this season, take it through the summer and into next season?
Yeah, of course, in an ideal world, I think consistency and stability is what you need to kind of build on in terms of success, and for the players as well to kind of understand where we're going and knowing each other and connecting with each other. It's not one where you can chop and change so many numbers so often. Aware that sometimes circumstances dictate that, sometimes it's not always fully under our control, you know, because there's other situations and players play a part of that. So but certainly I think consistency and stability of a squad and players help you improve and help you improve together and achieve some success.
And again, regardless of where you finish the season, if you were to finish the season strongly, when you're in a club, do you feel that momentum, and does that momentum stay with you through the summer? Can you carry that at the start of the new season?
You can and you can't. I think there's both. I think ideally, of course, you want momentum. You want to be in a positive mood. You want to be winning games, no doubt. Pretty obvious to state that, but I think in some ways every season's different as well. You know, whatever happens, you've still got to go and perform and earn the right to be good enough to achieve the season next season. But it's not too far ahead either. You know, we're still in it now, and we've got a lot to play for. So. The longer plan, the longer picture takes care of itself. It's putting things in place now that really matters.
Just finally, obviously around this time you'll see what the 2004 Cup winners mean to the town and the fans. I'm not saying obviously you're going to go win a cup, or obviously you're at the semis this season, but has that kind of made you more hungry to have success here and to know what that means and what it will mean 10, 20 years down the line?
Not more hungry, no, and that's not disrespect to what's going on now. I think it's the hunger's there, you know. Of course, it's little things that happen and it maybe spurs you on a little bit, but that doesn't change my hunger for success. I think you understand that as a football club there's history and there's traditions that you respect, and you understand that what the successful teams have looked like and what it means to people, like I've just said. And but yeah, certainly for me that hasn't changed or hasn't given me motivation that I needed extra. I think that was already there. And
does legacy matter to you then? Do you want to be remembered kind of 10, 20 years down the line as having done a good job and maybe set the foundations for success that would follow if and when you do it?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I sit here and today and think about what am I going to be remembered by in so long. I think I work and I do things the way I believe is kind of right for me and the right people around me, but try to do it in the respectful way and working hard and giving our best, and ultimately in the end that takes care of what it's going to be, you know. But I think most set out to do things in the right way of what they believe in. Maybe not everyone, but most would. I'm no different to that, but I certainly don't sit here and plan the weeks to weeks thinking I want to do this because then that might make me look certain thing for later on. Just try to be myself.